Hey bass players, this is Essential Elements 192 Simple Gifts, the breakdown video. Now we'll be going through part A and part B, but the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the entire piece. Now our final tempo for this piece will be 72 BPM, but when we practice some of these difficult passages, we're probably going to take it slower. Let's point out the basics. We're in the key of D major in 4/4 time. That means 4 beats per measure, and we have an F sharp and a C sharp in our scale. The dynamics for both part A and part B change at the same time. Both are forte at the same time and both are piano at the same time. We see our first major dynamic change at measure 10, changing from forte to piano. Notice that we only have the two extremes, either loud or soft. There's really no mezzo in this. Alright, let's start looking at the different parts, starting with the top line, part A. The first thing to notice is that the first 3 beats are silent. That means we have a pickup into the first measure we play. We start on beat 4. Make sure to really count those first 3 beats so that you're ready and you're not late on those pickup notes. Just like this. I'm ready to play and then I start counting. 1, 2, 3. A, A, D. Another thing to point out about these pickup notes is that they need to be short. We don't need to do full bow on these 8th notes. Nice, short, buoyant stroke is more than enough. If you find yourself doing this, you might find yourself being a little extra. Keep it short, close to the frog, with a little bit of motion, maybe half the bow, and then when you get to the next quarter note, go into your nice full bow stroke. Another thing to point out about part A, the top line, is that it's all in first position. You're never going to be doing any shifting. Everything is going to be right here where you have your D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. Now one of the technical challenges of this piece is the slurs on the 8th notes. If you're not used to playing slurs, they may be a bit of a challenge. So for example, let's look at the first 2 slurred notes, D and E in the second measure. We will play up bow in this case. And midway through the up bow, we're going to change to an E. So D, E. 1 bowing, 2 notes in the left hand. D, E. Let's try the next one, beat 3, F sharp and D. Set for down bow and play. One more time. Now beat 4 is a little more tricky. We have F sharp to G slurred, and you'll notice they're not on the same string. We usually play F sharp 4th finger on the D string, and we usually play open G. This presents a few challenges. One is the string crossing. We're going to have to raise our arm to pivot to the next string midway through the bow. Make sure to keep your arm moving fluidly and only tilt just as much as you need to. Again. And one last time. Now the other challenge you might find is that your left hand may mute the G string. Let's take a closer look at that. If I don't lift the fingers of my left hand, they'll just mute the G string by slightly touching it without pressing it down. That means I have to do one of 2 things. Either really curve my fingers so I can hold down the F sharp without touching the G string, or take my left hand off of the D string altogether when I play the G. Personally, I like to find a middle ground between that. I usually just lift my first finger so I can get my hand off of the string. Now the next big challenge of the A part is going to be playing piano at measure 10. We need to play a soft, quiet dynamic, but we have a long note to hold out. Here's a little tip. When you're playing piano, it's easy to want to stop the motion of the bow and move in slow motion. But actually, you need to keep the bow moving. So reduce the pressure. Don't squeeze so much in the hand. Let your arm weight relax a little bit and maybe even lift a little bit, but keep the bow arm moving. Maybe not quite as much as when you're playing forte, but enough so that the sound continues to be smooth and speak. So let's take a look at measure 10. We start on A. I'll set my bow for an up bow as indicated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, just try that. Set the bow on the string, try it with me. Nice soft sound, as opposed to really digging in. Just keep that hand relaxed. Now, even with our faster rhythms like quarter notes and eighth notes, we're still going to keep that hand relaxed, but just keep the bow arm moving. Here's a third beat of measure 10. So even though we're quiet, we're not stopping the motion of the bow. We're just gliding on the string a little more. Let's go ahead and try playing measures 10 through 13. Set your bow for up bow. Keep your hand nice and relaxed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Another tip for playing quietly, move your bow a little more sul tasto, or above the fingerboard. This spot on the bass is naturally a little bit softer than close to the bridge. Also, being in this position helps you relax your arm a little bit more and take some of the weight off the string in a natural way. Now at the end of measure 13, we have a rest, and above that rest is a comma. That comma means we're going to need to retake. Basically, the last note in measure 13 is a down note. So to retake, we need to lift our bow and go all the way back to the frog, because our next note is a forte, a half note. And we need to be ready to make a big sound. So once again, here's E, rest, and. It's a big motion, but keep it nice, round, buoyant, and relaxed, and you will get to that A no problem. At the end of measure 22, we have those same pickups going into our main theme, which is the last 5 or 6 measures. But this time, everything is piano, soft. So apply those same principles we just talked about, a more relaxed arm, but still keeping the bow moving and being a little more sul tasto, and you'll be able to get a nice soft sound. And the last challenge of this top line is the last note. It's held out for 6 beats. Basically, this just means we have to be right at the frog before we play that note. So on the 2 half notes before, play them nice and full. 1, 2, 1, 2. Arrive at the frog for the whole note tied to the half note at the end. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, rest. That'll make sure you have enough bow. Keep your bow steady, keep it light because we're still in the piano dynamic, and make sure you're close to the frog so you have enough. All right, let's take a look at the B part of this piece. There's only a few major challenges, the first being all the rests, really. Sometimes when you have to count, it's very, very easy to get lost. So really practice saying the numbers in your mind so that you don't get lost, and follow along with the music with your eyes. The real technical challenge here starts in measure 6. We have a high D on the G string, which is a difficult note to find. I recommend finding it by playing your D scale, walking up with the notes, or checking it against your open string. Once you have that note, the difficult part is transitioning from 4th finger D in 3rd position to 1st position 4th finger B. I recommend starting on D, 4th finger, and sliding down until your 4th finger is on B. Basically going to have to do this same motion just very quickly. Notice that I keep all of my fingers down when I shift. I don't just let go and try to shift with the pinky or even with the 3rd and 4th finger. I keep my 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger all down on the string because they help me know exactly where I am. Our next challenge is at measure 14. We don't usually see rhythms like this. Quarter note, half note, quarter note. short, long, short. So let's give that a try. Just practicing it will help. You'll notice that our down bow is going to have to be pretty fast. Luckily we're in forte, so that won't be a problem. But we need to get to the tip of the bow for that half note. If we do a short quarter note and we're only halfway through the bow, we're going to run out of bow pretty quick on that half note. So make sure to go from frog to tip on that first quarter note so that your half note can use the whole bow. Here we go, let's give it a try. Measure 14 at 50 BPM. 1 and 2 and nice and slow. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... At measure 19 we return to our high D, and this time we walk the D scale down. D fourth finger, C sharp second finger, and then B fourth finger, A first finger. Let's just play through that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Alright, that's our breakdown of Essential Elements 192 Simple Gifts. Go ahead and watch the play along video so that you can get your practice in too.